Kuala Lumpur, the capital of Malaysia, is still immersed in the brilliant light of the night. At the international airport, people are bustling between the departure gates. In the midst of this modern life, Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 is preparing to take off, carrying 239 people to Beijing. None of them know that this will be a fateful trip, a journey that the whole world will remember. On board MH370 are the presence of many different fates: businessmen, people carrying files, laptops, and unfinished cooperation plans. They fly with a busy and bustling atmosphere, thinking only of tomorrow morning's meeting. International students eager to return to see their parents after many months of studying abroad. On their shoulders are small backpacks. In their eyes is the joy of reunion. Small families, couples with children, looking forward to a vacation or a visit to relatives. The children were still sleeping, curled up in their parents' arms, carefree and peaceful. Tourists, with cameras and luggage, they were eager to explore a new country, not knowing that their journey would be cut short forever. Each person had a story, a dream, a destination. All met in the cabin of that Boeing 777 and then disappeared together into the darkness. MH370 was operated by Boeing 777-200ER, one of the largest, most modern and safest aircraft at that time. It could carry more than 280 passengers, flying continuously for more than 10,000 kilometers. Equipped with advanced radar, navigation, and communication systems, Boeing 777 is a symbol of reliability. Throughout its many years of operation, it has always been highly rated for safety, making passengers feel secure in placing their trust. The giant plane rolled down the runway, its engines roaring, then slowly lifted off the ground, plunging into the night. Behind it, the lights of Kuala Lumpur gradually faded away, leaving a vast open sky before their eyes. At an altitude of more than 10,000 meters, MH370 stabilized its flight path. On board, flight attendants served meals. Some passengers opened their laptops to work, others took a nap. The sound of children giggling in their mother's arms. The soft chatter of strangers sitting next to each other. A peaceful atmosphere, like thousands of other flights that take place every day. None of them knew that those seemingly normal moments were the last moments the world would see MH370 still exist. The night was still quiet. On the radar screen, MH370 was just a small dot of light moving steadily at an altitude of more than 10,000 meters. To air traffic control, it was a completely normal flight. Nothing unusual in the communications. No warnings sent back. Then, in an instant, the dot disappeared. The dispatchers called MH370's frequency repeatedly. Malaysia 370, do you copy? MH370, please confirm altitude. But the only response was absolute silence. No response. No distress signal. Normally, when there was a technical problem, the pilot would send out an emergency signal, which would take only a few seconds to activate the Mayday system. But this time, there was no signal. On the screen, the flight path was broken. The crew looked at each other, not believing their eyes. In a matter of seconds, the plane carrying 239 people disappeared as if it had never existed. From Kuala Lumpur, the emergency calls were made. In Beijing, where hundreds of families were waiting, the scheduled landing time was still displayed. But the Boeing 777 never arrived. Passenger phones kept ringing, but only a monotonous sound. Relatives dialed the number, waiting, hoping to hear a familiar voice. but only to be met with silence. That night, the skies over Southeast Asia became an eerie silence. No debris, no final signal, no farewell. MH370 had fallen into darkness, the beginning of one of the most haunting mysteries in the history of human aviation. In the early morning of the 8th of March 2014, emergency reports appeared on Malaysian television, then quickly spread around the world. Within hours, the name MH370 was the center of every newspaper headline. Flight MH370 missing with 239 people on board. A Boeing 777 disappears in midair. From CNN, BBC, Reuters to China's CCTV, all major news agencies ran 24/7 news. The world was shocked, unable to believe that a modern aircraft could disappear without a trace. At Beijing International Airport, where MH370 was scheduled to land, hundreds of families crowded into the waiting room. At first, there was anticipation, then confusion when the clock showed the landing time, but no plane appeared. When the bad news was announced, cries rang out, echoing throughout the hall. Many people screamed for their loved ones. Others fainted in the arms of medical staff. The phone rang continuously, but no one answered. The monotonous, cold sounds from the other end of the line seemed to tear the hearts of those waiting. Never before has a disappearance shocked the whole of humanity. On social networks, millions of people shared information, lit candles in memory, and prayed for the 239 people. Governments quickly took action, formed task forces, and coordinated the investigation. But the more they searched, the deeper the mystery became. MH370 was no longer just a pain for Malaysia or China. It became a global symbol of fragility and helplessness, a tragedy that crossed borders and touched the hearts of millions. Immediately after MH370 disappeared, an unprecedented campaign was launched. More than 26 countries participated, from Malaysia, China, Australia, the US, to European powers. Dozens of naval ships were mobilized. Patrol aircraft hovered in the sky for days. Satellites adjusted their orbits to search for unusual signals. Remote-controlled submarines were also deployed, diving deep into the Indian Ocean. Hundreds of millions of dollars were spent. The world seemed to be of one mind, with a single goal: to find MH370. But before them was an unimaginable challenge. The Indian Ocean, one of the largest and most severe seas in the world. Rough waves, strong winds, the seabed as deep as a dark maze. Day after day, month after month, the ships still silently scanned each strip of sea, as if looking for a needle in a vast desert. The result? Just the silence of the ocean. It wasn't until more than a year later that the first signs emerged. A piece of the plane's wing washed up on the island of Reunion, off the coast of the Indian Ocean. Later, other debris was found in Mozambique and Madagascar. All were confirmed to be from MH370, but they were only small fragmentary pieces, not enough to recreate the tragedy. No black box, no intact fuselage, not a single body was found. Despite its enormous scale, the search ended in vain. In the end, the ocean held MH370's secret within it, a secret that no one could decode. For the world, this was a painful failure of modern technology. For the victims' families, each wave that lapped at the shore was just a heartbreaking reminder. The answer remained in the darkness. No black box, no final signal, no bodies were found. All that remained was a void and theories. As soon as the news of the disappearance spread, many people immediately thought of the possibility of terrorism. The world had witnessed the horror of 9/11, so the fear of MH370 being a target was completely well-founded. Some passengers on the flight were confirmed to be using fake passports, but after many investigations, no signs of explosives were found, and no terrorist organization came forward to claim responsibility. This theory gradually lost weight, but still left a layer of suspicion. The Boeing 777 is famous for its safety, but no one can be sure that it could not have had an accident. Some people think that MH370 could have had an electrical fire, lost pressure, or had a broken communication system. But if so, why didn't the pilot send a distress signal in time? A modern plane has many emergency mechanisms, which only take a few seconds to send a signal. The absolute silence of MH370 makes the technical theory less convincing. This is the most haunting theory. Some investigators suspect that the pilot or co-pilot may have deliberately steered the plane off course, then let it crash into the darkness of the ocean. Satellite data suggests that MH370 may have changed course, heading south towards the Indian Ocean, something unlikely without intervention from the cockpit. But this theory is too heartbreaking for many to accept, and so far, there is no evidence to prove it is true. Some believe that the plane was hijacked electronically. Others believe that it landed at a secret base. There is even a theory that MH370 disappeared because of an unknown force. But it all stops at speculation. Without data, there is no large enough piece to form a complete picture. More than 10 years have passed, thousands of pages of reports, a series of research projects have been published. But in the end, the truth about MH370 is still out of reach. MH370 is not just an accident. It has become one of the biggest, most haunting mysteries in the history of human aviation. It has been 10 years since MH370 disappeared. The world has changed a lot, but the memory of that flight remains like an unhealed scar. 239 people, 239 fates, gone without a word of goodbye. 239 everyday stories, ending in absolute silence in the middle of the vast ocean. For the victims' families, this tragedy is more than just an aviation event. It is a wound that will never heal. Every unanswered call, every empty seat at a meal, every holiday without a face is a stab in the heart. Many relatives still keep the habit of texting the deceased as a way to cling to the fragile hope that somewhere they are still alive. For them, every day that passes is a series of endless waiting. MH370 has made the whole world realize that even with the most advanced technology, there are still scary gaps. Airlines change regulations. Now pilots must maintain regular contact. Global flight tracking satellites are being upgraded so that a plane will never disappear without a trace again. But all those improvements cannot bring MH370 back, nor can they ease the pain of 239 families. MH370 is not just a mystery, it is a symbol, a reminder that we can build giant planes. We can own sophisticated satellites and modern technology, but in just a moment, everything can disappear. Human life is always fragile before fate. MH370 is not just a flight. It is a big question that humanity has no answer to. A tragedy without words. A wound that will never heal. A mystery that perhaps will forever lie in the darkness of the ocean. And sometimes, the biggest questions of humanity will never have answers.